So if you've ever wanted a build that lets you teleport around like an Enderman while electrocuting everything harder than a literal thunderstorm while raising the roof so hard that enemies will literally explode and poison their friends harder than a snake, and at this point I'm pretty sure this build qualifies as a war crime? Yeah, something like that. This build is for you. Hello, Space Wizards. So, I heard y'all want in on the Bolt Charge game too. Alright, I got you. Hunters aren't the only ones that can get acquainted with the floor in an elegant manner of high-skill combat. You too can show hunters that their slide melee ain't shit. A little bit of lightning. This build does utilize an exotic class item, but you don't have said class item. The base version of the exotic works just fine. The class item that we're building around is Necro Syntho. Syntho is there to juice our melee to the max, and Necro is there because, I mean, it's a melee belt, it's really good for melee belts. If you don't have this class item, you're gonna build around the base version of Necrotic Grip. Necro is also slightly better on higher health targets since its poison ramps up over time, whereas Spirit of Necro does not. Now, despite all of the yapping about the exotic class item, the thing we're actually building around is Lightning Surge, so go ahead and slot that in. And shocking absolutely nobody, shocking, we're going to be slotting in Feed the Void or Devour. Not only does this help with our trance energy, since we tend to be a little bit light heavy, we are once again in the boop zone. The Fragment's protection is a must, since we are, as previously mentioned, in the boop zone, or you will be if you're doing this correctly. Sacrifice is going to help generate some more Darkness Transcendence energy, which we absolutely need. Justice is going to get a lot of value here since we're popping trance to spam abilities and kill stuff as a core component of the build. Courage is surprisingly useful given we do most of our killing with light abilities, and between trance grenades and regular grenades, we kinda need all the help we can get. Finally, Balance is free and easy since we're a melee build, and our actual melee ability is a light damage ability, so that's just free regen. For our grenade, we're rocking Cold Snap since the build is heavily weighted towards light damage, and Cold Snap is going to help us move the darkness bar a lot. For melee, we're running Arcane Needle since it gives us 3 charges on a very short cooldown, meaning triple or even more the amount of lightning surges as any other melee ability. Any class ability works here, but I'm on Phoenix Dive because I'm weird like that. Pick whatever you want. And I see a fair argument for any super here, but I've gone with Song of Flame since the Necro Snaps will work with Song of Flame, and that's just free value. For our stats, we're cranking Rezeal to the max. Again, this is another build where tier 10 or bust is kind of true, given, of course, the boop zone. Strength is obviously getting cranked to 100 next since the build is all melee and we don't have any chunk-based regen, so it's useful for that. Finally, after that is Discipline since we're wanting to throw as many grenades as possible. For our mods, we're rocking Double Finder and Hands On for a ridiculous amount of super energy and so that we don't cry whenever we have to use our heavy weapon. In the arms, we're rocking Double Heavy-Handed since melee spam is the build's whole thing, and we're going to run into the 10-second internal cooldown with just 1. On top of that, we're running Impact Induction to fuel even more Cold Snap grenades. Triple Resist in the chest, though to be honest, melee resist is probably going to be stapled to your chest armor with this setup. I see no reason to run anything else. In the legs, we're rocking Recuperation to keep us healthy since we're going to pick up most of those orbs that we make by accident. Innervation for everything else, and then the Heavy Scav for ammo. Finally, in our class item, we're rocking Outreach for more melee energy, Special Finisher to keep us topped up on cash and so that we can collect orbs all the time, and finally, Reaper to round out our orb package. The artifact, we're keeping it short and sweet this time. We're going full arc. We've got some weapon-based stuff in there too, but that doesn't really matter. It's arc time. We're rocking Dielectric for more bolt charge, Flashover for more damage, and Defib for even more bolt charge. It's arc-based, scoop it up. Everything else is personal preference. In terms of actually playing the build, it's half blatant ability spam, and the other half is using your brain. Which half of that you need to be in depends on whether or not this pink bar is full. If you don't have Transcendence, your main goal is to get there. You can do pretty much whatever to get there, but your main tools for this are going to be Grenade and Lightning Surge. This setup has a slightly harder time generating Darkness energy because of how much Lightning Surge is going on, so a Strand or Stasis primary does wonders here, though it's not entirely mandatory. Something like Outbreak works here too, but that's a little bit more dependent on a gun-based setup than an ability one. A chill clip weapon is also fantastic, but, you know, whatever works. Keeping Devour uptime here is also going to help a lot, since Cold Snap generates a surprisingly solid amount of energy, and even with something like a chill clip Tenacious, it's needed. Once you do have Transcendence, this is where the fun begins. Minor note, you should make sure to burn all of your abilities before you pop Transcendence, since you get your grenade as well as 2 needle charges for free, so you might as well just get everything out of your system before you hit the button. When you do hit the button, just go berserk. Spam your abilities on anything and everything that looks like it might even mildly deserve it. Random Thrall, Lightning Surge. Orange Bar Knight, Lightning Surge. Raid Boss. Yeah, actually, maybe don't Lightning Surge that one. That's probably a bad idea. But anything else is on the table. However, your Rampage Spree does have a limit, and that limit comes at the point where you're realizing your trance is going to run out pretty soon. At that point, you should probably stop blatantly spamming and only do so if you absolutely need it. The reason for this is that, unlike our grenade, we don't get any kind of melee ability restoration when our Transcendence ends, and you're going to want more surges for after your trance to get back into it. If you've got your super after you transcend, and it's a halfway decent time to pop it, go for it. Not only will this give you a massive amount of Transcendence energy, it also gives you back your charges for free, essentially hard resetting the loop, and even then, you're actually positive on that loop because you have a bunch of Transcendence energy. All you need is a few shots from a Tenacious, and you're good to go at that point. In terms of, is the build worth it, or did I waste the last 5 to 7 minutes of my life watching this video, I'd say it's more on the worth it than the wasting the last 5 to 7 minutes of your life. Definitely not for everything, mind you. I would not take this into a GM just because. There are certain GMs that I can see this working, and you do need a pretty specific team comp to make it happen, but you can make it happen. Solo content is a much different story, however. When ads are just spawning in and begging to die to your god tier ad clear, the build goes crazy. When you're already obliterating nearly everything, Necro is just free cleanup. The main motivation for me to run this build is just, I want something I'm not going to feel embarrassed to run that isn't the shut your brain off and win style of build. And believe it or not, that thing that I have between my ears, I actually turn it on occasionally. I do actually run a variation of this setup for my prismatic damage build, though the class item is spec'd a little differently. Instead of Necrosyntho, it's Necro Star Eater. It's less strong as an actual Lightning Surge build, but you need to be on needles anyway for the Frizz Warlock setup, and after that, it's just about spacing for Nova Bomb instead of Song of Flame. By the way, if you are interested in a video explaining how the execution of that setup, or really any Prismatic Warlock setup, is performed, definitely let me know, because I'd be interested in making it. Alright, I think we're done with the Thor cosplay for now. I'll quit yapping about it. If you want a community of people to play this awesome game with, you should consider joining mine. I have a link in the description below, and we've also got a Destiny clan, so hit it up. Who knows? You might actually have fun. Tune in next week, where we're going to be keeping it a little bit classy. If you know, you know. And if you don't, well, come back in a week, and you will know. Alright, I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now!